And then what's this? Now say it.
Internal.
Internal carotid. Office hours? We're done at noon. So. Okay. Oops. Let me put an arrow. All right. So when you look at the first branch off of the arch of the aorta, what is it? Brachiocephalic trunk. And brachiocephalic trunk should then branch into what? Right subclavian and? Right common carotid. And isn't that what that's doing? Yeah. So like I said, this is really the fetal version with the proper names now, okay? The only difference is in a real true life fetus, these would be shorter than they actually are. And that's what I'm going to show you in the last version when I show you the adult version. Now, okay, what's the second branch? See that right there? That's the second branch off the arch of the aorta. So what's the second branch off the arch of the aorta? Left common carotid. And isn't that what this is?
No.
And then what does the left common carotid split into?
The internal and external.
Internal and external carotids. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
What's the third branch off the arch of the aorta?
The left subclavian.
Left subclavian. So we follow the arch of the aorta all the way down here because this is where it originally was. But again, I keep telling you, in a real life fetus, this wouldn't be all the way down here. It would already be kind of like shortening, and it would be up here. But here's the transition. So this is the third branch, and this is the left subclavian artery.
For the Duchess arteriosus, that technically wouldn't be considered a branch because it's going to the aorta, and it's not really a branch off of it.
It's not really a branch, it's its own thing. So that's why it has a very weird specific name to it. Yeah? So, I mean, it was originally the continuation of the left sixth aortic arch, but it's not a branch, it's basically its own specific structure. So now, the last thing is this little connection that we see here, right? Is that connection that we still see here, which used to be the left sixth aortic arch. But what it is now is, this right here is, what is it, Alexa?
The Duchess arteriosus.
Ductus arteriosus.
I'm horrible at spelling it now.
Okay. Ductus arteriosus. Because it's a duct. Do you know what a duct is?
Like
carries fluid.
There you go. It's a tube that carries fluid. That's what it is. Now this happens to be carrying blood. That's why it's called what? Arteriosus. Because it's carrying arterial blood.
Does it become a ligament though?
Later. Remember, this is fetus.
Yeah, but how does it go from something that
Duct
carries
to a
blood?
ligament is the smooth muscle in the walls of it. Once you're born, the smooth muscle contracts and it closes it off, and then you develop connective tissue inside, and then it just completely closes off the lumen of it. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
All right, now if that's the ductus arteriosus, then what is this thing right here? Left recurrent laryngeal nerve. So this is like really a transitional thing, just to conceptually move from here to here. This is sort of conceptual because we haven't really like shortened the vessels the way we should. So when we do the adult version, now everything is exactly where it should be, and it's really short, and it looks like this. Still have a pulmonary trunk. sorry. I'll be consistent, sorry, my fault. This is the adult version. I'm just adding this because we talked about it in the morning and we'll talk about it in the afternoon. So I'm throwing this little thing in there.
There's one. There's the other right here. And the thymus. 6, right? It's more than 4 or 5. 4? 5,
Okay. So now, right, this is actually what a real fetus would look like, okay? The only difference is, we're gonna call this the adult version. Okay? And the only difference is this right here. In a fetus, this would still be open, still patent, and there would still be blood traveling through there. But in reality, this is the same arrangement that you would actually see in a fetus. Like if you had a fetus and you opened it up, it would look like this, okay? So the vessels, right, what do we have right here?
Pulmonary trunk.
Pulmonary trunk. Okay, what do we have right here? Pulmonary arteries. There. This is an abbreviation. Okay. AA, right? A single A like that means one. Double A like that just means plural, so arteries. Okay. Now, what is this thing right here?
Aorta.
There's the aorta, right? So we'll say aorta. And you're right, that's the arch. So what's the first branch coming off the arch?
The brachiocephalic trunk.
So brachiocephalic trunk. Okay, and then brachiocephalic trunk, what does it branch into?
The right subclavian.
And what else?
The right common carotid.
So this one, I'm just going to put, and same thing, I'm just going to write common carotid. And then point to that, whoops, too far. Point to that, right, common carotids. And then what do the common carotids branch into?
The external and internal carotid.
Oh, I almost forgot. Still have this. What are those little pieces coming off?
The maxillary.
Maxillary. Okay, and then what's the other branch off the common carotid?
Internal.
Internal carotid.
Right there.
Wouldn't those technically like be, I guess, twisted in to go into the brain?
Yes. Remember, this is a drawing where we have to flatten things out. And so what we've done is taken things that are more dorsal and then put them out here.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's why they're out to the side.
technically they would just go back.
Yes, they would be going back in here. Yeah? Who was in the morning? Who's in the morning lecture? Oh, okay. What are these?
Lymph nodes? No.
They're blood. They're made out of like a blood vessel.
There were like the right venous angle or something like that.
No, this is an arterial thing. Does it look like it's the same size? So what does it look like? It's bigger, right? So this swelling right here at the beginning of the internal carotid,
have a question. You can answer it later if you want. But why is the ductus arteriosus still patent in the fetus?
Because the fetus is not breathing air, right? So for lecture 7, we're going to talk about this. The fetus is not breathing air, and so it's getting all of its oxygen not from the lungs, but it's getting its oxygen from the placenta, from the mother. And so what happens is the oxygen-rich blood comes into the heart, and it's already oxygen-rich when it first enters the heart through the inferior vena
So
cava.
it doesn't need to go to the lungs to get oxygenated?
So sending the blood to the lungs to get oxygenated is actually wasting like the time and the energy required to do that. And the lungs are actually really small and deflated anyway. Right?
Is it a sinus? The
Carotid sinus.
sinus.
So, aren't sending the blood to the lungs to get oxygen. So what this does is, the blood that would normally be going through the pulmonary trunk and going to the lungs, you want to just use that blood and send it out to the body. So it bypasses and it goes straight into the aorta. That's what the ductus arteriosus is for. But you don't need that when you're an adult, right? So this closes off. So it pinches off and it just becomes a tiny, tiny little thing. And it's closed off, so it's not a duct anymore, right? All right, so now, right, we talked about the first branch and all these, so what's the second branch off the arch of the aorta?
Left subclavian.
Second branch.
Left common carotid.
Left common carotid. So when we look at here, what is this?
Common carotid.
Left common carotid. What's the third branch off of the arch of the aorta?
Left
So
subclavian.
here's the third branch, there's your left subclavian. Right? So this is after everything's shortened and it's all kind of come together now. Okay.
Why does it shorten? Does it just happen that way, or is there a reason why it shortens?
Okay, so it's not actually shortening.
Oh,
See this right here?
yeah.
Let's say this is a vessel inside of the fetus. Yeah? So this is the vessel inside of the fetus. And let's say the fetus is about this big. Yeah? So, at some point, all of you, all of us, were about this size.
Okay.
What happened?
We grew.
Bigger?
Yeah. So watch this.
It
Does
just
this grow?
no.
So if this doesn't grow,
Oh.
together with the rest of everything, what happens?
Just stays.
It looks smaller.
Looks like it's getting shorter. That's really what's happening.
Okay.
I say that it's getting shorter because it's easier to say that rather than explain that it's staying the same size while everything else gets bigger.
Oh.
But that's really what's happening. Is the vessels, when you look at this right here, that right there, it just doesn't get bigger. It stays the same size. And then what happens is your arm is just growing and growing and growing, and your heart is moving down, and everything else is growing, but that just stays the same, and so relatively it looks like it's shrinking.
Okay.
That's it, that's all it is,
Okay.
right? Yeah. So, I mean, that's what happens, is you just don't devote resources towards making it grow longer.
Okay.
And then it looks like it's getting shorter, yeah? All right, now, first branch, second branch, third branch, right? And what do we have right here? What's this? Status. And what's this right here? And what is the right recurrent laryngeal hooking around? Hooking around the right subclavian. So